Good evening. Good evening. It's a great opportunity for us to get started today. I hope some more people come in. I hope they didn't have trouble with the link that we sent with the registration, that we were able to get them through. I see Estela is here, and I know she had to do that, so I think it should be fine for most people. My name is Michael Dale Campbell, and this is the Natural Health Enthusiasts workshop today. We have a real opportunity to explore some ideas and explore some of the science and explore some items from the Bible and just really put a health profile and a picture together that allows us to be healthier tomorrow than we were today. Every single day we can be just a little healthier as we continue to learn. And we're going to have a little bit of a different format today, and you'll hear more about that. I won't give that away. But we are just really thrilled that we're able to get together each and every month. This is getting close to year 9. Every single month we've been able to do that. I'd like to welcome Felice Martin. Oh wow, and Sheree is coming in too. But we have a tremendous opportunity today to learn just some tips and ideas that will help us to be healthier each and every single day. And I'd like to mention also that this is not just a meeting, even though we come together on Zoom, but it's also a place where you can come back to celebrate your successes. So just say, imagine you started to drink more water, and now you're up from just 10 ounces a day to 32 ounces. Come back and celebrate with us. All right? Let us know that you did something that was positively moving you into better health. And then also, I want you to know that it's a great place to ask questions. So when you're here, if you have a question, go ahead and put the question in the chat. And we'll get to questions. We'll have a period of time. But sometimes if the person presenting or one of us, we see your question even before we get to the Q&A section, we have an opportunity sometimes to flip the answer right into the presentation that is going on. And so we welcome you today into this session. And we have an introductory video so that you can actually know a little bit more about us. So Barry, would you go ahead and play that for us?
Do you ever feel the need for more energy, vitality, and a greater sense of well-being? Then stay tuned. We are natural health enthusiasts with yet another delicious recipe of best practices and holistic lifestyle health. Our natural health planners, sponsors, presenters, and friends compile and share the simplest, most natural discoveries and practices targeted to restoring and maintaining energy, as well as a sense of well-being that we all want in our daily lives. It has been said that health is a state of complete harmony of the body, mind, and spirit. Therefore, through the practice of the 8 laws of natural health, integrated with evidence-based research, we see a world empowered by Christ's love that is passionately seeking to be its healthiest in body, mind, and soul. And that's why we're so glad you've chosen to be here. Join us each month to help us celebrate the Creator for the resources and knowledge that consistently optimize His gift of natural healing in our bodies. We thank our hosts at the All Nations Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church in partnership with Community Outreach Incorporated for providing this one-of-a-kind opportunity that helps us all live healthier tomorrow than we are today, every single day. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your Natural Health Meetup presenting team for this life-enhancing edition.
And so here we are. I am Natural Health Enthusiasts. As mentioned, this is part of the outreach ministry for our church, the All Nations Fellowship Seventh-day Adventist Church in Downers Grove, Illinois. I do want you to know that this is a monthly presentation. Please add to your calendar. the second Tuesday each and every month throughout the course of the year. And we have always something special, as mentioned earlier, not just for us to share with you, but you can also share with us with questions, with celebrations, successes that you've had. And so we also want you to know that even though we will be sometimes just mentioning a health issue, a concern, that nothing that we say that may be perceived even as a solution to that health concern, but that it is not to be considered as medical advice. This is all purely educational in nature. It is designed for us to learn and share with each other, but not for us to take any of this as medical advice. And certainly, please check with your licensed health practitioner for any specific concerns that you may have. And so please keep that in mind as we go through and do your own research, certainly, because anything we share here, please go check it out. I do want to highlight for just a moment that these 5 areas around the world, and there is a 6th one emerging in the state of Minnesota. Right now, these are the blue zones of the world. Loma Linda, California is the one in the United States that's been around for quite a while. Then we have Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Icaria, Greece, and Okinawa, Japan. These areas are considered blue zones because people live centenarian lives without having to really experience any diseases of any kind. Many of them live healthily all the way through their life. It is because of the lifestyle that they live. My desire, my passion, the reason I do this each and every month is that if we can just add one more person who is committed to living a blue zone lifestyle, such as we teach here, and come back and celebrate with us. And we're going to have a little dose of that even today. So please remember that it is an opportunity for us to learn from each other and to share the lifestyle nuggets that will allow us to be healthier tomorrow than we are even today. And so keep that in mind. I want you to know that today's workshop, let me see if I can get to the right slide here, past it, here it is food and its power to transform our health and personal experiences that teach us how. I got a question for you. How's your health transformation progressing? I hope it is going well. And today we'll have a chance to discover or perhaps even rediscover the source of life and vitality. And so let's bow our heads for a word of prayer and we'll get right into the program. Dear God and Father, we are so grateful, so thankful to you that we have so many resources that you have provided for us to be healthy, to have vitality, to be smarter, to be more active and more energetic. And God, sometimes we stray so far from those things that are the right things for us. But today we recall that many have said food is medicine, and we want to select and choose the medicines that are right for us when we choose our food. Please guide us, lead us, help us to be wise in our decisions, and help us to break the habits that are hurting us. Help us to acquire great habits that will help us to be healthier. And may each person here be blessed. May we also learn from those who are attending, and may your presence be felt here during our time together today. Thank you so much for being here with us, and may we have a great result from today's session. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Dr.
Good
Dave.
evening. Yes, good evening, afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Danaran Frederick, and I'm glad that you're able to be with us this afternoon, this evening. If you're in the East Coast or the Central Time Zone, I trust that you're doing well. So yesterday, most of us are aware of something that happened in the skies, right? It's called the eclipse, and I'm sure that some of you were in a path of full totality, and maybe like myself, we just had 90%. But this morning, when I was preparing for work, my son came downstairs, and he warmed my heart. He warmed my heart. Why? I try to teach my children, right, about the health principles and the divine laws of health. I also try to live by example. And this morning, one of my sons came downstairs and he said to me, "Dad, I'm going to go out and get the morning sun." Now, you may not think that this is anything special, but in my study, in my understanding, my research, getting sun early in the morning is actually a benefit to the body, a benefit to the brain. And I'm not sure if Dr. Rick will be able to share a little bit more about that a little later. But what our friend, Brother Campbell, was trying to say, and what we believe is that this thing about health and our bodies, it's a total package, right? And so we are trying to help individuals when they come on to these presentations to understand it's the mental, it's the moral, and it's the spiritual. And they're all intertwined. They're all intertwined. This evening, I have a special guest, the gentleman, and I'm trying to stall. I know he's on his way, but he's a young man here at the institute that I'm teaching at, Hinsdale Adventist Academy. And for a couple of months now, he's been going through quite a transformation in regards to his health. He's made some decisions that he's going to stop doing things and he's going to start doing some other things. And so we'll hear from him when he arrives shortly. But as we prepare for that, I want to share my story first. And some of you may be able to share a testimony as well. A couple of weeks ago, my wife and I discovered that my blood pressure was rising. Not entirely, but just the bottom numbers. And it became a concern for us, concern for her, concern for me. Now, I think I know part of the reason, all right? I've been under a lot of stress. I'm a teacher and I was supposed to go on 2 mission trips. I've gone on 1 mission trip this year. I'm the senior sponsor. I do a lot. And so I was under a lot of stress. And so we tried to see what can alleviate and bring down my pressure. Well, it so happened that my wife wanted to get some citrus from the store. And she decided wanted me to get some grapefruit. I don't know if you know anything about grapefruit. I didn't know much about grapefruit except for the fact that sometimes it's pretty bitter, right, and tart. But I took the grapefruit, and as I consumed it, when I was finished, about an hour or so later, I checked my blood pressure. And would you know, the numbers actually came down. I said, no. And so the next day, or 2 days later, I tried again. We had grapefruit in the home, and I ate the grapefruit. And would you know, the grapefruit was bringing down those numbers. I was amazed. And I thought to myself, I did not need to go to the doctor and ask the doctor for a prescription to get blood pressure medicine. I realized that, as Michael Campbell said, food is medicine. And so now I will continually have grapefruit in my home. But I realized something else. It's not just about the food, it's the lifestyle. Yes. I need to find ways of de-stressing. I need to find ways of eliminating some of the toxins in my system. But I also need to sleep well. And so if possible, Dr. Rick, any words of wisdom in regards to blood pressure and or citrus fruits or stress and I just got word the student is on his way right now.
Lack of sleep too, Dr. Danny.
Yes.
Well, I think that something you said earlier should just ring in our ears. for every imbalance in our lives, there are three pathways to solving that usually. The physical pathway, there's a mental pathway, there's a moral pathway, okay? And so by eating the grapefruit, you gave yourself a pathway to the physical. So blood pressure is not a disease per se, but it is an alarm that your body is saying, hey, the balance is not good. And, you know, the diastolic numbers at the bottom usually say you're stressed. So just a little bit about the grapefruit. I mean, grapefruit, white grapefruit particularly, is, if you look in books and on the internet, it's more touted for cancer properties and things like that. But a small unknown fact for a lot of people is that citrus fruit like lemons or oranges or grapefruit have a white coating on the inside of the rind. It's called the testa. And the acid from the fruit actually can dissolve that. And guess what you get a lot more of? Calcium. And so
Really?
anytime you get more calcium into your system, it usually makes the valves and blood vessels and things work better, and also helps the digestive lining. So your net increase from that experience is usually, hey, my kidneys are working better, my blood pressure is working better. So that's the simple, just one simple thing.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rick. Thank you so much. Our guest is here, Cameron Owusu-Frimpong. And so this is how we're going to proceed with this evening. We're going to have the interview, and then after that, we'll have Dr. Rick give some responses to a few things that Mr. Frimpong will share, Mr. Cameron will share. After that, we'll have some time for Q&A. We'll have a closing video, and then we'll have what is called a mixer. That's where we undo our tie. That's when we roll up our sleeves, and that's when we just become individuals that are in the same boat. No presentation and no specifics are necessary. So let me welcome Mr. Cameron to our program. Cameron, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know you are an avid soccer player, and so you were at a soccer game just a while ago. Did the girls team win, or?
Yeah, they won.
All right, good. So you're happy. You're happy. Cameron, can you tell us, please, what grade are you in, and give us a little background of your family in regards to health, if you know anything about that. And how old are you?
Well, I'm 17. I turned 17 in November. I'm in the 11th grade, and some little background about my family's health is, I would say they care about their body. On my mother's side. On my dad's side, it's a little less strict, but overall, they watch what they eat some way, yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of any family or medical illnesses or diseases that run through your family?
I mean, other than my mother having sickle cell anemia, there's nothing else I can think of.
Okay. All right. Well, sickle cell is not a good thing to have, but praise God that there's not so many things. Let's go back a little bit, Cameron. When you were in elementary school, middle school, what was your eating habits like?
Not good at all. It was a lot of McDonald's, ultra processed foods, not a lot of fiber. My mother tried to convince me to start to get into healthier eating, but I kind of slacked on it. I did it every now and then. I kind of got started into having craving for fast food restaurants. From my
Mhm.
father's side, my grandmother, she used to feed me a lot of American McDonald's foods and stuff like that. And when I was in at a certain grade, I used to get like a McDonald's, a Happy Meal every Friday, once a week, and then I progressed to a Big Mac and so on and so forth.
All right. But for children, certainly the Happy Meals made them really happy, didn't
Yeah.
they? Especially the toys that you'll get. Yeah, the toys. Um, well, you progressed to high school, and as you were leaving middle school, and obviously, I would imagine in elementary, you didn't cook for yourself, so other people had to provide for you. But you got into high school. Did that continue in your freshman and your sophomore year, maybe your junior year?
I would say I kind of watched what I eat a little more freshman and sophomore year. Junior year is when the transformation began, but I wasn't. There were times where I was thin and then I didn't eat a lot, and then there were times where I ate a lot of more junk food because I wasn't playing a lot of sports. My friend John was kind of like guiding me and explaining out how to work, and I kind of didn't understand the health concept until this year. Yeah.
When you say you didn't understand the health concept,
Mhm.
um, who was teaching you the health concept or a health concept? Did you have any familiarity with any of that?
Yeah, John kind of guided me, but I thought,
So
I
John is who? He's
a
your
student here.
a student
I'm
here.
in middle school. I kind of thought, fast metabolism. I didn't really know about processing and all that stuff. I was like, fast metabolism, I should be fine. Um, and I started to, more and more, like if you don't work out a lot and do a lot of workouts to boost your metabolic speed and you don't eat the healthiest, it starts to catch up. And I started to experience that. And then I, was being blessed to take life skills with Pastor Frederick, and I realized and I wasn't learned what processed foods were. I learned ultra processed foods. I learned foods that are good when needed, and I started to change my way of living a lot. And I always worked out through high school, but when I started to change how I ate is when I really felt better about myself, mentally and physically.
Okay, and we will get to that, the feeling better about yourself mentally and physically. But let's go back a little bit. You, as I've mentioned earlier, you're an avid soccer, some would say phenom. Um, do you think that you took for granted the fact that because you are so athletic, and soccer players are very athletic, that eating was not such a priority because, hey, I'm just going to burn it off?
Yeah, definitely did take that for granted. I didn't understand. I actually am still learning. I learned that it's just not that easy. Like you can see, like a burger is like over 1,000 calories. It's from these fast food restaurants, and my daily intake, is probably around like 3,500, around there max now. And like with one little sandwich, that's not gonna fill me up. I'm already close to
Hmm.
that range. So I'm prone to overeating.
Okay. Now, Cameron, was there a moment in time where you had the eureka or the aha moment, or you felt, you know what, this is it. I am now going to commit fully. Was it a friend or someone in the hospital? Was it an experience you went through? What was that moment, that catalyst, if I can use that phrase?
So basically, when I played for this year's basketball team, they needed some help. I kind of felt really sluggish and slow. We didn't have a lot of subs. It was like a 6, 7 person team. So I needed to like play to my best. And I started to really feel sluggish around the second half. And I'm like, this is not how I used to feel back in the day when I played the previous 2 years. But I knew, I was playing more minutes, but I felt like I should feel better. So during spring Christmas vacation, the 2 weeks, I called up uh, my friend John, and sugar, consuming sugar daily was a big part in my health eating habits, and that's something I did throughout elementary and so on and so forth. I continued doing that freshman sophomore year. I was consuming sugar every single day, and once if you're not extremely active, kind of burning, if you let that sugar turn into carbs, you're so sorry. Your body doesn't need that all that excess carbs is going to store to fat, and I didn't really know that. So I started to really feel that sugar kind of store up, and Christmas break came, and I'm like, John, I want to be lean, I want to be lower later, I want to feel more physically better. So then I started training calisthenics at the gym. Did the Stairmaster. I was progressing on that a lot. It was pretty difficult at first, doing push-ups, pull-ups, all that jazz. Very effective. Not only did it boost my metabolic speed, it made me feel better mentally and physically overall. And since I avoided junk food, processed foods, and sugar, it kind of changed my physique and everything else about it. But what I usually do, I like to ask like, well, what do you do with the junk food when you crave it or when you want to eat it? Sometimes I implemented a system during this process of me changing my lifestyle, call it like a cheat meal, cheat day, where I kind of let loose on my diet, but then the next day, the following week, I just go back to normal. I used to take one day out of the week, and I found that a lot better than eating food periodically, like day to day, because my body only uses one day to try to get rid of all that not the healthy foods I ate, rather than having to work every single day of the week.
All right. You're a young person, you're a teenager. And for those of us that have been teenagers before, we have these ebbs and flows, right? Teenagehood. Had you ever tried and attempted to go on some kind of health fad before? You wanted to get your body prepared for something. Did you ever experience the failures of trying to be healthier?
Not really, no. But when I was serious about it, I didn't really experience any failures because I was so set on getting my body right, being a instructor, power athlete for soccer, and to help out the basketball team. But before, when I wasn't serious, I would maybe go on a random fast and then eat junk food, something like that.
All right. What is your goal, Cameron? What is your goal? Are you wanting to just be a better athlete and that's it? Are you wanting to be someone that has a pretty strong physique, right? You want to look good in the mirror as a young man. Is your goal that there is a connection that you're realizing now between the mental, the moral, and the physical? What is your goal?
I would say my overall goal is to continue and just because I only have one body. I just would like to continue to treat it the best I can. And obviously doing that comes with a lot of pros, and those are some nice pros, being happy, being healthy, and by doing that, I hope to inspire other people too and have them have a better day. I don't want to be, sluggish, slow, and create an unpleasant feeling in the room because, I didn't eat something well, and that happens a lot once you consume fast food, especially from this country. So that'll be my overall goal. And yeah.
Okay. But let's talk about it. Do you have any experience now of feeling happier? Do you have any experience now of feeling more positive? Is there any evidence in regards to your academics or even in your walk with God?
I would say yes. Not eating those foods helps you focus more. When I do my daily devotion, I'm more focused. When I'm in school or when I'm just at home trying to do homework, I'm not just immediately trying to knock out because I just ate like a whole family-sized Burger King meal or something like that, because it just makes you feel so tired. Stuff like that.
Okay. Describe for us what are some changes that you have made. Friends, Cameron and I are very good friends, all right? Student and teacher. And oftentimes he would send me some pictures of some of the smoothies and the drinks that you would make. Can you share with our audience what are some of the things that you would make for this transformation, during the transformation?
Well, I'm still learning, but during this transformation, I searched up, and my mother kind of already knew this and kind of guided me through this process. But I searched up things like, kale and basil and chia seeds,
Chia.
chia seeds, stuff like that, like things to help my liver and all those vital organs, fiber, protein, everything I needed. It was kind of like a drink I made to clear my system and internal organs and my whole entire body, just something good. I drink all in one to benefit my body, and it helped a lot. Cleared my system. It kind of makes you feel more active because it's all natural plant-based stuff that the Lord made. And
Unnatural or all natural?
all natural.
All natural.
All
Okay.
natural stuff that the Lord made to benefit the human body in one, and it works.
All right. So you've learned more about nutrition, about plants. Have you learned more about your system, your body, your kidneys or your liver? I heard you mention that. Do you know how these things work? Are you still interested in finding out how they work?
I'm still interested and I'm still learning. I don't know a lot. I know like the basics that they serve as filtration system in your body. Yeah. And the smoothie I made, when I did my research, the ingredients I put in it benefit the process of the filtration system and help filter things in my body. So
Wonderful. Have any of your friends seen a change? Has your mother seen a change? Have other people affirmed what you are experiencing, what you're doing?
yes. I I would say certain individuals have noticed kind of increase in performance and weight loss before Christmas, uh, after Christmas break, an increase in performance in sports, longer endurance. Mm. People that kind of like pay the close attention because I wasn't too like, overly fat, so it wasn't like a drastic, like visible. Um, Something I'm looking to see like, yeah, like so clearly.
All right. Um, if you had to share with one of your friends, another student, another teenager, how would they start? You know, maybe they came to say, "Hey, I see how you're changing. I see you're doing better academically. I see your personality is so warm and inviting. I want to know, what are you doing? How would you guide them to making such changes? Maybe first three things or so."
Well, first thing I would say, implement a lot of fruits and veggies into your daily intake, like what you eat daily. I notice some people forget that that's very important to go about in your life. You know, some people go days without eating foods like that, and you know, it's a kind of like a reminder when you look in the Bible. The Lord made these fruits and veggies for us to eat and consume, and people forget to eat it and they stick with the man-made food. That would be the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is stay active, physically active. Don't just sit around, because when you're active and you're taking care of your body will thank you, and you'll see the changes.
All right.
And third thing, don't try to jump into it being like crazy strict, like finding pieces of kale and lettuce for dinner and stuff like that. You know, I would say implement fruits and veggies and find healthy foods that are balanced between everything. You know, some carbs, some protein, some fiber that are good because there are enjoyable foods. Um, it's actually kind of funny because when I was smaller, when you eat so much junk food, your taste buds kind of just get so used to that. So for some, it might be a little hard, but you'll definitely be able to do so.
All right, thank you. I have one more question for you, and it's not on our agenda. Cameron, where do you work?
Oh, okay. I gotta work at McDonald's, but I work primarily right now at Dunkin' Donuts, Baskin Robbins.
And the reason I ask him that question is because I think working at Dunkin' Donuts has opened his eyes even more to what some of the foods that people are eating.
Mm-hmm.
So can you describe, please, some of the ingredients that are in some of these donuts and some of these pastries and just
Well, the donuts, actually compared to other places like Krispy Kreme, which there's 95 ingredients in some of their donuts, it's not terrible. But one thing I think is pretty bad is their coffees. Their coffees, there are some that have 100 grams of sugar in one, a large, and I don't even think people. It's on. Yeah, I don't think you should be consuming 100 grams of sugar a day even in a small drink.
and so are your eyes now being opened to seeing that some people actually don't know what they are consuming, and they're just going through the motions?
Yeah, some people definitely don't, but there are some people that do, and kind of like I have a fast metabolism, and yeah.
Yeah. Any challenges as we close? Any challenges or obstacles you think that you're going to be facing as you pursue this journey of living a transformed life? Again, understand the interplay between the mental, the moral, and the spiritual. All that works as one. Any challenges that you think that you're facing or would face?
I mean, there are always going to be temptations. I feel like when I living in the United States, even normal foods that aren't terribly unhealthy have a list of like 50 unnecessary ingredients to keep it well on the shelves or to add a little flavor. Um, it's a lot. So like for a lot, like someone to eat chicken, like get some protein in. If you go to the store, especially in this country, and like 90% of that is processed or has been in the shelves for so long. They've put a bunch of genetically modified ingredients in the chicken, and people don't know unless they just grab it and think, "Oh, it's chicken." Those challenges being, especially if I'm going to the store hungry, being able to like individually kind of scout out which one's good and which one's not. But there are some stores that are a lot cleaner, like Aldi or like Nature's Valley. What was that? Apple Valley. So, yeah.
Well, we want to thank Cameron very much for sharing his story, his journey. His journey's not over. He's a teenager. He's going to go to college. There's something called Freshman 15, Cameron, Freshman 15. But I know you may have some questions because you just want to better yourself as a young man, as a child of God, a son of God. And before we get into questions, I'd like to give the opportunity now for our friend Dr. Rick to just comment on a few things that he's picked up from your story and how we can benefit moving forward with our health.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would love to congratulate you, Cameron, on just making these choices. The choices we make for ourselves are 1,000 times more valuable than the choices we're forced to make. So I congratulate you for that. But I took some notes. That's why I went off screen. I was listening to what you were saying. And you said you began to learn about your health. And I want to just tie all of these, I guess you would say, dimensions of life together. In religious terms, we always hear this: faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Well, really, if one were listening to your story, that's exactly what you said. You were saying, hey, I learned by hearing different things from people who were giving me principles, and you heard the principles of God, which strengthened your faith. In other words, it strengthened the things that you decided to do. So I just wanted to make that connection. But then you talked about some of the challenges that you had, feeling sluggish, not having the energy you did just a couple of years prior. And so we as adults have to remember that it's oftentimes the challenges that we have that point us in the direction of change. And so my son, my oldest son, he had this saying. He said, when the pain of change is less than the pain of remaining the same, then change will come. In other words, you saw it was more beneficial to change than to stay the way you are on the path that you were. And so you changed. Just some other things I wrote down here. I want to just give you direction. Excuse me. Because you're interested in learning. It goes the other way around. Carbs are the things that you eat, and then your body turns that into simpler sugars. So carbohydrates are apples, kale, spinach. All those things are carbohydrates. So the difference is you have processed carbohydrates like donuts, and you have unprocessed carbohydrates that are apples and oranges and grapefruits and other things. So they're just like there are 3 dimensions in us that reflects God's signature. There are 3 dimensions or 3 types of foods, right? There's proteins, there's carbohydrates, and there's fats. But within each category, there are 3 types of things. So there are 3 types of carbs, which would be the most dense, would be the polysaccharides. That word poly meaning several, or at least 3. Then you have disaccharides, which means 2. And then you have monosaccharides, which is the simplest type of sugar, which would be like glucose. So your body, all your muscles, all your cells work on glucose. So people talk about, I'm going to make my muscles more buff by eating a lot of protein. Doesn't happen that way. You eat protein, your body turns that into sugar. Okay? I'll let that sink in for a second. So it turns it into sugar. Then sugar, the liver turns that into a substance your body your muscles can use, and that sugar is what gives the pump. Okay? The protein just repairs. And so that you can, as you lifting weights, you repair what happens, but the bulge comes from sugar, okay? Your brain only works on sugar. So, yeah, we could go on with that a lot. Another thing you wrote down was cheat days, which just says, for me to change, I have to establish a pattern of living that I can live with, right? You said, don't try to basically do more than you can. Don't try to do everything at once, because we don't change that way. We displace bad habits by putting other habits in their place. And the more we enlarge our knowledge base, the more we get more faith, then we say, you know what? I don't even need any cheat day. I'm so enjoying smoothies. I'm just going to go with that. So you're talking about patterns of how to change. So we have to. And so just a few more things. you talked about having a goal. I think most people don't do the changes like you did because they don't have a goal. So that's saying if you aim at nothing, more than likely you'll hit it, right? You'll get there. If you aim at nothing, you aim at shooting the ball outside the goal, you probably can do that, right? It's a lot harder to kick the soccer ball into the goal, right? So that is just, you mentioned this process, and I wrote it down. You said it made your goals was to be happy, to be whole, and you inspire. And really, that inspiration is an outgrowth of being happy, right? It's an outgrowth of meeting your goals. When nobody has to tell you to smile, when you were going to make a goal and you kicked and the goalie was trying to block but you made it anyway, who has to tell you to smile? Nobody.
Nope.
They don't have to tell you that, because inspiration is literally your body's celebration of what you've accomplished, right? So if you don't inspire anybody, it's probably because you're not inspired, right? So anyway, mentally, bad food makes dirty blood, makes cloudy thoughts. Bad food makes dirty blood, makes cloudy thoughts. And then it puts a stress on every other organ in your body just because you wanted a McDonald's, right? So I'm not going to read all my notes. I took a lot of notes, so I learned a lot from you, Cameron. I took a lot of notes. But one thing I'm going to give you, just to wrap my segment up, just a little primer, okay? So you can learn some more about your body. And I chose the kidneys. That's one thing you were talking about. So the kidneys, everybody says kidneys are filters, but that is probably, that I won't say it's the minor thing that kidneys do, but it's certainly not the only thing that it does. I would call the kidney a balancer. The kidney is responsible when we talk about electrolytes, and people use that word all the time and they don't know what it means. Electrolytes are just minerals: calcium, sodium, potassium, chloride. Those are minerals. The kidneys are responsible for balancing how the mineral content of the blood, that's how blood pressure works. When something is out of balance, the kidney can't correct that, then the blood pressure says, hey, warning, there's a balance and imbalance. So the kidneys do that. Yes, it does filter blood after the liver cleans the blood, okay? So the liver detoxifies the blood, but the kidneys get rid of the waste. The kidneys produce hormones, okay? The kidneys are dynamically connected to the adrenal glands, which means the adrenal glands sit right on top of the kidneys. What does that mean? It means when you get emotional, when you get stressed mentally, when you get somebody makes you angry, then the adrenal glands registers that emotion and sends that message to the kidneys. And when people get scared, what do? They wet themselves. It's because of the interaction between the adrenal glands and the kidneys. So, and another thing you keep in mind for your about the kidneys for your clients that come into Dunkin' Donuts, coffee has 3 different substances that actively interferes with the working of the nervous system, interferes with kidney function, and literally will destroy the kidney without the sugar that they put in it, right? So caffeic acid is one, caffeine is another one, theobromide is the other one, and they are almost exactly the same chemically as uric acid. So if your uric acid level is too high, you're going to complain about muscle aches and joint aches and back aches and headaches, because uric acid is a waste product that your body, the liver, kind of gets rid of old blood cells producing urea. The kidney takes that and produces with the waste uric acid and gets it out of the body. Where if your kidneys can't work fast enough to handle the cup of coffee that you're drinking, that uric acid or caffeine or theobromide, it just builds up in your bloodstream and acts just like a toxin and a poison, which it literally is. So if you were to go to the FDA and look it up, even they list caffeine as a poison.
No way.
A drug.
FDA?
It is a poisonous drug.
You did say FDA, right, Dr.
The Food and Drug Administration. They list caffeine as a drug. It is I think a Schedule 1, don't quote me on that part, drug. Yeah. So I just read a little bit of what I took from your talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rick. I wrote notes as always. We want to give some time now to our audience to do some Q&A, and Cameron as well, if you have any questions for Dr. Rick. But this is our moment, and then we'll have our closing video, and then we'll have our mixer. And so does anyone have any questions? I think Sheree, is that correct? Am I saying it correct? Winfield?
Yes, thank you. You know what? I please forgive me because I'm going between two Zooms, but I was here at the beginning.
Yes.
Are there fresh, maybe Mr. Michael could answer this. I don't want to per se go to the store to get my produce. I want to go to private farmers who are clean farmers. Are there some addresses that you have? Because I'm just concerned about what they're spraying upon the farming areas. Is that a terrible question?
No, not at all. It's not a terrible question at all. I do not have, I know they're farmers markets. They're seasonal in most cases in this part of the country. We're in Illinois, Midwest. But I do know that they do exist, and I think farmers markets, and I know you're in Illinois, Sheree, if you were to just look in areas a little bit south, suburbs and beyond, like in the Lockport, Lamont, a little bit further, they're farmers that you can check out to find out if they are indeed the kind of farmers you're looking for, that do not spray. They're not next to a farmer that actually sprays, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Thank you.
Probably if you on the internet, you can probably find some listing of farmers markets in your area. But as Michael said, you have to make sure they're the kind of farmer that you're looking for, because a lot of farmers grow genetically modified food and
No, I don't want
so on
that.
and so forth. So you have to really search.
Thank you. I know two is just one of them I don't trust. The other one is by Apostolic Church. So I just want to be closer.
Yeah. And then also just in terms of fruits and vegetables that we do purchase, I mean, doing this for many years now, there is the baking soda solution. There is some people use vinegar and soak the fruits and veggies to get any coatings off from the outside. I did some research on cilantro just maybe a year or two ago. And there are 13 harmful chemicals on the leaves on the plant that you purchase if it's not organic. And if it's organic, it still has not as many, but it has fewer of these harmful chemicals. So, so soaking in soda, I know chemically there is a bit of leaching away of these harmful chemicals. We use spring water or distilled water to rinse them down afterwards. Just that kind of additional step, and we've been doing this. I have pictures of my sink full with vegetables and fruits that are actually in the solution, and we do this pretty much for every single shopping trip. So those are some additional items that additional ways that you might help to remove some of the harmful chemicals.
Thank you.
I think if you use the vinegar, you want to make a weak vinegar solution. You don't want it straight or strong. You want a weak vinegar solution.
The white vinegar?
Yeah.
And then how do you make it?
Well, let me explain why, because I think it's important.
Yeah, that's right.
If you use too strong a vinegar, it'll strip the color right off the fruit or produce. It is an acid, so it will act like it. So if you're soaking your beets, if you're soaking, the water will turn the color of that. So you want to make, apple cider vinegar and other vinegars are probably only about a 3 to 5% solution anyway, but you want to water that down because your whole thing is you want to be able to just rinse these things. And you want to understand that fruits and vegetables, God has built in a system with the fiber to take those things out of your body. So soluble fiber in and of itself will take these things, absorb them in your stomach, absorb them in your colon, and then move them out of the body. So you're not left alone in that fight.
Can I ask a question? So I said, how do you make it do you do half a cup of vinegar and then a full cup of water plus baking soda?
Yeah, I think it's a lot less than that of vinegar to water. I think you just look it up online. You should be able to get a recipe. I have one, but I don't know where it is right now. But it wouldn't be half and half. That's too strong.
All right.
Yeah, and just one more comment on the baking soda. If you put too much baking soda, it gets really soapy. So if you put your finger in it, the rule of thumb that I use, which works very well so that it doesn't make the leaves wilt, and I use beets and potatoes and all those things. The baking soda, if it's really too soapy, especially fresh fruit, it causes, if you don't rinse it off properly, you end up getting a mildew or mold very quickly on them. So rinsing them off is very important. And also just not making it very soapy, just slightly soapy. You can feel it in your fingers, and it's just very, very slightly alkaline. So that's the guideline that would be best also for baking soda.
Wonderful, wonderful. Washing fruits and veggies.
Yeah.
Anyone else would like to ask some questions?
I want to know which fruits do they
put the,
Plastic.
no, there are certain fruits they put.
You know what, we just have to wash all our hair.
No, but there's,
Start talking?
can I please ask you a question?
Yes, please.
All right. Michael, you and I have talked about that they put things on to retard the fruits from getting ripe. And then they also use additives to make them ripe faster. Okay. And because I've been using the lemons that we've talked about in the last few health meetups, I noticed that some lemons, when I get them, have a greenish tint. And so I don't know what to use on which. And just for the lemons, and it might help me with other things and other people, is there something I should know about? My first thought is, do they try and, again, retard that process of ripening with lemons so they ripen slower, and how can I take care of that problem?
I don't have a direct answer for that, Michael.
All right.
So
Yeah.
let me give you
Doc-
some guidance if I could.
Yeah.
Please. Yes, sir.
They usually wax that with a food grade wax to keep the apple or whatever from oxidizing, right? Because the oxidant is going to make that kind of break down. So the vinegar and water, and probably a little bit better than the baking soda, will get rid of that wax. Okay. The other thing that they use to ripen fruit is what nature uses, methane gas. Okay. So I use that anytime that let's say you have avocado. I love avocado. So I will buy a lot of them that are hard, and I'll buy a few that are ripe. Okay.
It
So
sounds like me.
when I want them to ripen, I just put them in a bag, usually a paper bag, or sometimes use a plastic bag with apples. Apples will release methane gas and ripen the things in a day or so.
Incredible. Incredible.
If your apples aren't worn out, like if they haven't been sitting on your counter for a month, okay, they're going to be releasing less methane gas. But if they're fresh apples, boy, they will make that happen. They will never put bananas and apples together because you'll come up with mud in a few days, right? The bananas will you keep your apples and bananas separated. So methane gas is released by certain fruits. So you could probably, things like mangoes, things like plums, you can use apples because of the release of methane gas to mature them. So we just have to observe what God does.
Absolutely. Doc, let me ask you then. I got two for you. Number one, plátanos. Because I've always used the bag, but could I use the apples to ripen or get the plátanos the plantains to when they're yellow and we want them blackened so they're sweet, would the apples or the methane in the apples do the same thing?
I've never actually done it, but I'm sure that it would. I mean, if any fruit that has a soft coating, it's gonna do it. So it will mature bananas, it will mature other things. So yeah, I'm sure it would.
Okay, so this will be kind of a trial and error thing. And then again, going back to the lemons, because you said that they use a waxy type of substance to keep them from ripening too fast. Will the apples also, to the best of your knowledge, will the apples also
Contaminate the.
No. I just want to know, will they also speed up that process?
The point is, if you saw lemons, when I grew up in Florida, and so lemons grow on bushes, on trees, right?
Yes,
Right.
they do.
So you never saw anybody spraying gas out there to ripen these things. What ripens it? The sunlight. So don't forget about nature's processes. That is the sunlight that ripens
Touche.
these things,
And, it's
right?
so easy and
So
yet
a
so
lot of
different.
times, if I'm going to ripen something, even avocados ripen faster than the apples. I do use the apples if I want to kind of control it. But if you put avocados in the sun, they're going to ripen pretty quickly if they're in good sunlight. So just watch what God does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Michael, for those questions. Folks, we're going to go ahead and show our closing video now. And then after that, then we'll have a moment for Mixer. And I do have a question for those that stay behind. And I hope that and encourage you to stay behind for us to have that Mixer.
Yeah, just before we do that, if you don't mind, I do want to just share this since we went the direction that we did. I want to share my screen. This just came to my attention today, and just that it might be helpful for someone to know about this. This is the Alliance for Natural Health, USA. It came to me in LinkedIn. And it's actually an organization that has a group here on LinkedIn. And this actually is, they keep you up to date on some of the problems with some of the chemicals, the pesticides, the fertilizers that are being used that are harmful. And so just want you to take a note of that, the Alliance for Natural Health USA. And they do have a way for you to actively participate in helping to reduce the use of these chemicals by contacting your senator or your congressman.
Thank you very much, Campbell.
Sure. Okay, Barry, your turn for the second video, please.
We're thrilled that you're attending this edition of your Natural Health Meetup. In between our monthly sessions, you can stay connected with us in as many as 3 easy ways. Our Facebook group has our live as well as archived videos along with other natural health updates and a place to post your questions. Our Natural Health Learn and Share Meetup site has announcements, reminders, and messages for you, and also our confidential requests for prayer page. We love to pray for you and any concerns of life that you may have. Use the link on the screen to stay connected for any one of these or all 3.
All right, it's now time for our Mixer. And I would like to encourage